Very good evening. On behalf of Hyderabad Management Association and in collaboration with Symbiosis Institute of Business Management, we invite you for today's session on creating a vibrant startup ecosystem, a curious case of India. I invite uh, our MC members, our past presidents, advisors on this platform, and also those who are viewing us on another platform, which will soon be live, and also the other people from T-Hub, ELIP, as well as SIBF who are viewing us live, who are on this platform. And I also invite our co-convener, Rajendra Krishna Prasad Petty, our Vice President, Ramchandra Vyasabhattu, and our Secretary, Dr. Ravi Kumar Jain. I also invite our panelists, Dr. S. Glory Swarupa, Mr. M. Srinivas Rao, Mrs. K. Ramadevi, and the moderator for today's session, Mr. Paneer Selvam Madana Gopal. And with this, I hand it over to our president, Ms. Kavita Rajesh, who I request to take this forward.
Thank you, Geeta, for a warm introduction and a very good evening to one and all. The theme of HMA for 21-22 is Management, Resilient Impact, Innovation and Globalization. Greeting the vibrant team today is my honor. So I welcome once again Dr. S. Glory Swarupa Garu, who is the Director, National Institute of Small and Medium Enterprises. It is called as NIMSME. And Srinivas Garu, who is shortly called as MSR, and she is the Chief Executive Officer with TIAP. And Mrs. K. Ramadevi Garu is the President, and who has been talked all over now because she's the one who's got up entrepreneurship in our country. And our moderator for the day, Paneer Selvam Garu and Madan Gopal Garu, is the Vice President Corporate Innovation at TIAB. So thank you. And this is a very accomplished panel we have today, and I'm sure it will be a great take home for one and all, and even people with great knowledge. It's a good learning for all of us. To talk about Hyderabad Management Association, Hyderabad Management Association was conceptualized 57 years ago in 1964. By dozens dedicated young managers of the twin cities of Hyderabad and Secunderabad, who felt the need for developing managerial skills among young executives and spreading the message of professionalism among practicing managers with involvement of academia and industry. Hyderabad Management Association does various activities, and it provides a platform for professionals, academicians, management students to stay abreast of contemporary management practices and even shaping with their challenges, professional challenges. We do plethora of activities like evening lecture meetings like the one what we are doing today, and panel discussions, seminars, conventions, quiz programs, and management and faculty development programs. And this year we have also started with various initiation like social impact. We are addressing the problems what social like conserving water and all, and also international desk and MSME desk, MSME in collaboration with Krishna Prasad Foundation Trust. And we are also starting, we started the second batch of IRP Industry Readiness Program, where to bridge the skills required for campus to corporates. So international desk to link the institutions and corporates to international universities for internships, international trade opportunities for our corporates, beside tie-ups with different consulates on cultural exchange and technology through speaker meetings. Hyderabad Management Association is affiliated to All India Management Association. I'm an associate with HMA to conduct various joint and regular programs like this. So I thank you all for today's session, and I thank the speakers and the moderator for accepting our request. And I over to Rajendra Prasad Garu, please to take it forward. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Kavita ma'am. Namaste and good evening and warm welcome to you all for today's evening panel discussion on topic creating a vibrant startup ecosystem, a curious case of India. As a Hyderabad Management Association MSME committee convener, it is my honor and privilege to introduce the esteemed and eminent speakers and moderator of today's evening panel discussion. First, I will be going to, first speaker is Dr. S. Glory Swarupa Garu, Director General, and MSME, Dr. S. Glory Surapagaru, a professional in the field of entrepreneurship and skill development with around 24 years of experience. She has earned her PhD from First Pure Silk University in India in the area of entrepreneurship and skill development alumni of National Institute of Technology, Varangal. Worked with the Union Ministry, namely Coffee Board, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India, Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, Government of India, Mahatma Gandhi National Council of Rural Education, Ministry of Education, Government of India, National Fisheries Development Board, Ministry of Fisheries, Government of India, and Skill Development University. Core areas of her expertise is she's got a developed expertise in policy advocacy, program designing, international programs, research, training, teaching, extension, mentoring, monitoring, and consultancy. Implemented Government of India schemes and programs in all states and union territories in entrepreneurship, skill development, agriculture, and rural development sector. Handled 10 research projects independently. Published 46 papers, including 10 presented in international conference, authored 6 books, and made in 3 films. Her experience conducted 150 national training programs on skill and entrepreneurship development for the executives and senior officials, numbering around 3,000, coordinated the implementation of 12 training programs across the country, benefiting 42,500 educated unemployed youth, women, farmers, fishers, rural and urban population. Training of trainers, TOT, in entrepreneurship and skill development, faculty development program FDP in entrepreneurship development, women EDP, technology-based EDPs, TEDP, food processing EDPs, and apprentice development program for senior officers of ICAR institution, Krishi Vignan Kendra, John Shiksha Santan, Tribal Development Department, Industry Department, Commodity Boards, Rural Self-Employment, Training Institutions, National Bank, State Fisheries Department, Faculty of Engineering, Science and Technology Institute, and USO. Her awards, receipt of Dr. Kamala Bhagat Shironi Science Shikshaka Shodhaki mentioned 2022, and second award received for the Best Learning and Development Training Professional at Agri Awards 2021. Honored with Excellence in Education in the 7 Principals and Teachers Award in 2018. And she is a member of Ministerial Task Force MTF Committee for Futuristic Initiatives Innovation. And she is a member of Sector Skill Councils. And she is a member of Board of Study, Skill University, and the University of Knowledge and Technology. And she is the Executive Committee member of Center for Entrepreneurship Development. And she is a member of Startup Policy Formation Committee of NIT Raipur. And she speaks, writes, and reads of Hindi, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, and Tamil, 5 languages. Thank you, ma'am. Namaste. Welcome you for this session, ma'am. The second speaker of today is Sri M. Srinivas Rao Garu, Chief Executive Officer, T-Hub. Mahankali Srinivas Rao Garu, call it as MSR Garu, Chief Executive Officer, T-Hub. Mahankali Srinivas Rao Garu is the Chief Executive Officer of T-Hub, which enables and empowers an ecosystem hungry for innovation and accomplished serial entrepreneur. MSR has built and scaled businesses across geographies over his 33-year stint in the IT industry. A T-Hub, MSR is committed to positioning the organization to become a stronger innovation ecosystem enabled with high quality outcomes. To achieve these aims, he will be focused on fundraising initiative, higher valuation, robust employment generation, and building scale through active community engagement. He wants to raise the bar on the innovation to ensure T-Hub transform Telangana into leader in innovation. Great, sir. Before T-Hub, MSR served as a CEO of GAME, that is Global Alliance for Mass Entrepreneurship, a social impact entity where he was responsible for the implementation of the organization program and the expansion plans in its mission to catalyze 10 million mass entrepreneurs by 2030. His areas of focus include rigorous program evaluation, fundraising, communication, and actively engaging with key stakeholders in the innovation ecosystem. Earlier, he co-founded AUJS in 2008 We seek funding from IDG Ventures with a vision to help organizations manage risk and enhance information value through innovation and excellence. He drove India's exit to NSEIT, a 100% owned subsidiary of National Stock Exchange. MSR Garu was a part of promoter team at Network Solution, NetSol, which he helped scale up from the early stage entry of being among India's top 3 network integration entity before its acquisition of IBM in October 2005. At the start of his career, MSR Garu also worked at Sonata, Computer Vision Labs, and Microland. MSR Garu is a native of Telangana and currently lives in Hyderabad. He holds an MBA from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, and a bachelor degree in electrical engineering from Osmania University of Engineering. In a bibliophilia, a cricket fanatic, and enjoys quizzing, he and his wife, as a special educator, are proud parents of 2 daughters. Namaste, sir. Welcome you. Yeah, the third speaker is Dr. The third speaker, Mrs. K. Ramadevi Garu, President of ELIP. Srimati K. Ramadevi Garu, President of ELIP. Ms. Kanaganti Ramadevi Garu is the founder and President of Association of Lady Entrepreneurs of India, formerly known as ELIP. Being an educator, business consultant, social worker, and a successful Indian entrepreneur, she is an inspiration to many aspiring entrepreneurs. Mrs. Ramadevi Garu is known for her conceptual abilities as well as her interpersonal relations. She is also established Shivani Engineering Works, which is into bodybuilding of buses of Road and Transport Corporation of AP and Telangana, having a turnover of 8 crores, providing employment to 50 people. With the transformative ideas, Mrs. Ramadevi Garu started an exclusive industrial estate for women in India at Gajul Ramaram, Hyderabad. The estate has been acclaimed as the best and one of the first industrial estate for women in India under the public and private partnership. She was also instrumental in setting up Center for Entrepreneurship Development, CED, Institute, in impart training for women in all sectors to develop entrepreneurs. Her constant counseling and common sense approach helped many young ladies to reevaluate their attitude and take up income generation activity. She is an instrumental in developing Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Green Industrial Park at Nandigama, near Patancheru, Sangareddy district, in 83.65 acres, focusing on green initiative for women entrepreneurs and also importing skill development program in government, youth, and handicraft for 40,500 women on the name of Vande Mataram project under ISDS scheme of Ministry of Textiles. Great, ma'am. She was able to translate her vision in the form of ELIP, which is serving as a moral fiber to many women by improving their personal life socially and economically. For her competence, she has been a member of various boards constituted by state government and central government. In recognition of her achievement and the contribution, she has achieved numerous honors and acknowledgement. She was a member of high-level task force for MSV constituted by Honorable Prime Minister of India. Namaste, ma'am. Welcome. Yeah. Finally, our moderator of the session, Sri Panneerselvam Madan Gopal Garu, is the Vice President, Corporate Innovation of T-Hub. He is an advisor and chief mentor, T-Hub and WeHub advisor, NEET Ayur, skill development, an energetic, knowledge-driven professional with over 22 years of meticulous understanding of stakeholders in the business such as customers, employees, and markets, thereby providing the insight of for organization, strategy and innovation and consulting, rich, diversified, and ground-level exposure in marketing. Innovation consulting involving consumer behavior for strategic businesses transformation has been core focus area in the recent past. At T-Hub, Panneerselvam Garu has been associated since the inception of the mentor. Currently, it drives the corporate innovation initiatives, working with the leading corporates for innovation as a tool of business transformation and growth. In this role, he closely worked with the global corporates, government, stakeholders, and startups for the building of synergies through innovative solutions and engagements. Panneerselvam Garu, as is known as a professional circle, also mentors startups across the geographies such as Singapore, KL, MENA regions, and conducts training programs for leaders and founders. having worked clients like Tata Consumer Product, P&G, Cadbury, Nestle, Dauber, Asian Paints, Almond House, Axis Bank, Titan, HP, Tata Steel, many more. Welcome you, sir. Namaste. Welcome you, sir. Now, I request you to take over the session, sir. A small request, sir. I humbly request to all our esteemed participants, please put your questions in the chat box and the concerned panelist, so that at the end of the session, our moderator Parisram Garu will take up the question and addressing to the panelist. And one more request, sir. After the question and answer session is over, there will be feedback form will be coming on the chat box. You please fill the feedback form and submit it, sir. This is it. Now, Parisram Garu, mic is yours. Thank you.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sir. I just want to tell the panel, we also have students here who are aspiring entrepreneurs. So based on that, if you can also tell them what is offering for them, that would be great. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Hyderabad Management Association and the eminent panelists. So without further delay, I would like to kind of get into the topic for the day, right? The most important part is creating a vibrant entrepreneurship ecosystem. And we have true representation from the MSME side, who are the backbone of the manufacturing and product development of India. And we have Mr. MSR from the startup mindset, where the ecosystem, and Mr. Ramadevi Garu, both from entrepreneurial mindset as well as the women entrepreneurship, who also need to contribute significantly. So amazing. So the first question, I'll just take it to Mr. Swarupa Garu. From the time in the last 3 to 5 years, or maybe even 10 years, the whole MSME segment has kind of evolved significantly. And if you could give us an overview, ma'am, about what are those 3 or 4 key changes that you are seeing in the MSME segment that will encourage new entrepreneurs to come into this MSME segment. I mean, the whole segment itself has been evolving, right? And what are those 3 or 4 key positive changes that has happened in the last recent times that is more encouraging? Ms. Swarupa Garu.
Namaskar. Very good evening to the eminent panelists and expert speakers and participants. Greetings from National Institute for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises, Ministry of MSME, Government of India. I'm very much thankful to HMA and Ms. Kavita Rajesh for inviting me to this webinar on startup, vibrant ecosystem for the startups in India. And I'm very happy to see all the stalwarts on the platform. From Ministry of MSME, Government of India. So the government has taken up good initiatives even during the COVID and even before COVID and after COVID also. So after third wave, I want to just give a brief for all the participants for their benefit. MSME is a national institution under the ministry. And while the country is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we are celebrating our Diamond Jubilee. We are completing 60 years of our services to the nation. And July 1st will be our foundation day, 60th foundation day. And it is very satisfying because we serve the nation through our capacity building to officers and to the rural population through our cluster programs, and also to the policymakers through our research, and to the unemployed youth with our skill development programs. And we also did a lot of consultancy to various stakeholders across the nation. As we all know, this MSME sector is very significant contributor to the rapid growth of our economy in India. And it is very much pertinent that 6.3 crore of MSMEs are generating a turnover of 300 crores to our economy. And the startup culture, so it is not lagging behind. So compared to other countries like Germany, US, and in the other continents, so we are also progressing. And I think every year on an average 3,000 startups are emerging. And it is estimated that these startups, would provide 2.5 lakh jobs in the years to come. That is the estimation. And from our ministry, Startup India is one of the flagship initiative. Of course, Government of India has given the call. It is intended to build the very strong ecosystem. We are talking about vibrant, but it was envisaged to build a very sustainable ecosystem to nurture the innovations and startups in the country. So that will drive again to a profitable, continuation of this micro enterprises. And it is also noticed that most of the startups are into this service sector. Most of them are into IT sector. And that's why government is giving a call from Ministry of MSME to take up the startups in manufacturing sector. That's how it can create large employment opportunities in our country. And the government is aiming to empower the startups because startups are there, but ministry is taking initiatives to empower them. And some of them are like through schemes, because ministry is poised to help the stakeholders at different levels. Most importantly, the youth, the students from science and technology institutions and management institutions. And one such a scheme was this Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. This was launched even before 5 years, but it has not reached the numbers what it was envisaged or it was supposed to do. So most of the categories of assistance, whether it is Shishu, Kishore or Tarun, so it was to the retailers and it was to the startups in the service sector. But most of the people could not avail, though they say it was without collateral, without security. It could not, reach the target. So what with the objectives it was launched. Then government from Ministry of MSME has come out with one good initiative related to raw material assistance. National Small Industries Corporation, that is one of the statutory institution of our ministry, that is sister concern of MSME. So the raw material assistance program was much fruitful compared to this PMMY, and it helped the many startups across the nation. The financial help was given through lender guarantees and credit facilitation and bill discounts. So the government takes care of all the paperwork, and in turn business gets necessary funds for bulk purchases of raw material and focus solely on manufacturing. Because we all know whenever there is a manufacturing activity, we are taking care of the optimum utilization of the resources available in India while creating the employment and also the supply chain. And now most of the startups, they are ready with their products for exports under Atmanirbhar. So that is one good initiative from our ministry. And one more, like previously it was existing, that CGT MSA, like a credit guarantee scheme for small and medium enterprises. And during COVID, our ministry has come out with this credit linked capital special capital subsidy scheme for technology upgradation. And everything was at halt, and MSMEs were under distress. To boost the innovativeness of these MSMEs or to change the line of production, also to upgrade their technology to different product line. So this scheme was launched actually, and Indian government offers capital to help MSMEs and startups to upgrade their technology equipment and provides a 15% subsidy for the investment up to 1 crore rupee. So for this, MSME startups must get a term loan from the lender through this CLCSS scheme.
Okay.
And apart from this, the design clinic is yet another good scheme launched from our ministry to get into new designs for the innovators, and which are very critical for any sector under manufacturing, because healthcare was given a lot of importance during COVID, and likewise food processing and pharma industry and other sunrise sectors like fisheries and all. So this design clinic really it reached and it made some impact during COVID. And under this, government will provide up to 60,000 aid for attending design seminars and up to 3.5 lakh or 75% of the cost of a seminar, wherein the entrepreneurs or their team can learn and implement design theories and learn more about them. And under this, MSMEs, new businesses and startups and the agencies can apply and get the attend the design clinic first and then have their own designs through innovations. So these are the few schemes. And very recently, on 27th of this month, last month, April, 28th, our Honorable Minister has launched one Z scheme, that is zero effect, zero defect. It was already existing, but with new features to encourage more innovators and to bring in more startups into this fold of this Z certification scheme.
The lines between MSME and startups are not really there, and you're thinking in one stream. I think that's the most important part. And so many good schemes that have come up. So I would like to kind of bring in Ms. Ramadevi Garu at this juncture and check, because she has seen both sides. She sits on the policy side and makes these decisions, and she's also a very passionate entrepreneur and building multiple entrepreneurs from her team. So Ms. Ramadevi Garu, if I can ask you, what is your overview of the current ecosystem, and what are those 3 or 4 key things that are happening that is kind of significantly different from when you probably started, probably a few years ago?
Thank you, Paneerselvan, and I thank HMA for giving this opportunity. Am I audible?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a great evening today, meeting all of you. You're all learned and experienced people. I need not tell you what is not happening and what is happening, I think. Actually, the problem lies everywhere. Yeah. So what I can say is I can share my experience with all of you. Like almost 30 years I have traveled in this path of entrepreneurship development, and then I'm in various boards, and I happen to be the lucky one to start LEAP with my team. We could realize many, what I can say, hurdles. It's always our mindset is, entrepreneurship is something, which is very scary. Till today, often we believed in getting into a job, then getting into entrepreneurship. I heard in one of the meetings, one of the boys saying that I will not get married if I become an entrepreneur. So that was the situation. That was the backdrop for our country. You can understand what I mean. So though the policy is very proactive, but the total ecosystem was not present. Recently, there's a shift in our policymakers' decisions, also in the policymakers' announcement of various schemes. A shift is happening. They are believing in everywhere entrepreneurship. So this has taken off. I can give you a number of examples, but what I feel is why it is not happening in that phase. Requiring reforming of institutions. There are a number of institutions in our country, but what is happening? They are with outdated and information and outdated technologies. We need to reform our institutional support, which is required for present entrepreneurs. And also, we need to shape our markets to suit the entrepreneur. I will always say that create your market, then go for entrepreneurship. And changing a widespread of attitude. My daughter wants to become an entrepreneur, I will discourage her. That attitude need to change. We should encourage them, encourage youngsters. That should come from the family. We always say that after you complete your engineering, get into a job. Why? There's so much opportunity here. I happened to attend a meeting with the Prime Minister also. He was talking about Make in India for Global. This is the slogan which we are taking it forward. We want India to be a supplier for global markets. And we will make it. We will make it, because our Indians are capable of delivering things. We need to encourage them. We need to support them. We need to encourage them. We need to support them. We need to encourage them. We need to support 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 them. We need to our Indians and our Indian entrepreneurs are everywhere in the globe. So what we really require is a little bit of support and little bit of encouragement and the ecosystem, which will kickstart this movement of everywhere entrepreneurship. So I'll just give you a few examples because I don't want to bore you with all the schemes, because their schemes are wonderful schemes announced by Government of India. We implement all the schemes in our LA. Like we talk about PMEGPY. When we say PMEGPY, what difference I made is I made a cluster of PMEGPY entrepreneurs together, and they became 7 of them manufacturers of socks unit. Now they are ready to export a container load. If you talk about individual entrepreneur, it is not possible. But if you talk about 7 of them put together under one roof, I can send my goods to any country. So this need to be a change in the perception need to happen. You should never encourage. I don't say that everybody will not have. We are addressing small and micro entrepreneurs, so they require a cluster. So this cluster approach is one beautiful approach which we can kickstart the movement of entrepreneurship. And most of the startups who come to us require access to credit. In manufacturing, we handle manufacturing sector. We are the only incubator, I can say. T-Hub and all, I don't know whether they are doing manufacturing incubation or not, but we have machinery and we work with Atal Incubation, Niti Aayog. We have totally manufacturing incubator. But where we find difficult is investors coming to invest in manufacturing sector. So MSMEs will not get investors because they prefer, immediate gain for their investment. So this is a big hurdle for manufacturing sector. So the other day I was talking to Atul Incubation Mission Director and Mr. Amitabh Kant. I was telling him, sir, you are encouraging manufacturing, but you need to have a different scheme for it. Okay. Because we can't ask any investor to invest in manufacturing. They will say that we can't wait for 20 years to get returns. So these are the issues which need to be addressed. The whole ecosystem, as I talk, way back, when I wanted a loan, I had to give 200% collateral, but today it is not required. Yeah. So maybe what I feel is all of us coming together is very important. The mentoring and giving them access to credit, or even the policymakers, certain policies which kickstart the movement of entrepreneurship. Like, one example I'll give you under PMEGPY, there is an upfront subsidy. Upfront subsidy is parked with a bank. Why? When I can reduce my interest, they can as well, repay towards my loan. Why do should park with 5 years? These are the issues which need to be addressed.
Surely, ma'am. I think we'll take up some of these challenges in the course of the conversation. So if I can, I think 2 or 3 key points. I think, entrepreneurship was scary, is what I would like to believe. Not anymore, and I'm sure a lot of girls, for the youngsters who are looking at entrepreneurship is cool. Entrepreneurship is cool today, and starting up is actually even more exciting than taking on a job. So I think that shift is quite significant. And if I can bring MSR here, and T-Hub actually was formed to kind of make the Telangana ecosystem and this whole entrepreneurship even more effective and cooler. So if I can check it with Ms. MSR, what are your overview on the current ecosystem that exists, and how is it really contributing for the overall entrepreneurship culture in our country, MSR, if you can throw some light on it.
Sure. Thanks, PS. First of all, thank you to HMA for giving this opportunity on a Monday evening to talk to all of you. I think this coming together itself is, in a way, symbolic of what's happening from a ecosystem standpoint. That management associations and entrepreneurship development entities are coming together, right? So very quickly, just to kind of give some context, I think today actually happens to be a very significant day, right, in the history of on startup entrepreneurship in India. And I'll tell you why. Because today is the day when the 100th unicorn, there's a company called Open, which is a neo-banking entity, also happens to be backed by Google. So Open has now attained a market valuation of $1 billion. As you know, a unicorn is an entity which has has a valuation of $1 billion plus. So today is a proud and a big day in the history of startup entrepreneurship in India. And this journey has been rapid, right? So at the beginning of 21, we had about 40 unicorns. So in the last, less than 15 months or just over 15 months, we've added 60 unicorns, 40 last year, and this year, the first 4 months, we've added 20, right? So obviously that, and we are now, India is the third largest startup innovation entrepreneurship ecosystem in the world after the US and China, right? So that speaks volumes for how entrepreneurship is now very aspirational. And I think, to go back to something which I know particularly PS has heard me talk about this many times, but I just kind of put out, a simple mantra when you're trying to build an entrepreneurship ecosystem. I use this farming analogy, right? That basically you need, good seed, fertile soil, and favorable climate, right? So when I talk about good seed, it's about creating this entrepreneurial mindset. I think Ramadevi Garu talked about that in the context of saying earlier people would be scared about thinking about entrepreneurship was not seen as a career choice. People were looking for the safety and security of jobs, particularly government jobs. But I think that's starting to change. We are now starting to see, not just in tier 1 cities, but also across the length and breadth of this large country, a lot many more young people inspired by by examples of people like them who come from humble backgrounds, not born with a silver spoon in their mouths, going on to set up enterprises with scale, right? And at the end of the day, I think we all have to recognize that we talk about the demographic dividend and all that in India, right? While that is true, clearly there is a need for more jobs to be created. And I think we should all recognize that entrepreneurs are those who actually create jobs, apart from adding economic value. So that's the first point. The second point is, again, something which I think a couple of the panelists before me talked about, which is about how do you create fertile soil, right? And that is about access to physical connectivity, digital connectivity, access to credit, which Madam Ramadevi Garu spoke about, and a lot of initiatives. Just as UPI revolutionized banking, right? Also, for example, just a couple of days ago, the ONDC initiative was launched. The account aggregator network is in place now, right? So you will start to see a lot more, access to credit, non-collateral based. So including, for example, I have been in a past life a beneficiary of the CGTMSE scheme, right? When I remember at on a slightly more jocular note, when we got a large order from a very large government entity, and we knew that the working capital cycle would be strained because on paper we were supposed to get paid in 90 days, 105 days, but we knew it would be 6 months before we get money. So I went to a bank and asked them for, saying, listen, I have this large government order, and we are profitable as an entity, but we need some working capital limits. So a very senior manager from our largest public sector bank said, I can give you LAP. So I'm wondering, why is he talking about a part of the body, right? And then I figured out later on it was loan against property, right? So I think that is changing. This is, I'm talking of about 10 years ago, but I think the scene is changing significantly now. And then last but not least, I think PS is about having a good climate, right? And I think when I talk about a favorable climate, I'm talking about, for example, I know India has moved up rapidly in the ease of doing business ranks. We are 63 when the last, the last report came out. So clearly, I think both center and state governments are seized of the matter that it should be easier to set up a business. It also should be easier relatively to shut down a business if it's not working without going through long and complex and tortuous processes. And I think more than anything else, the fact, this whole thing about role models, like, for example, for people of my generation, people like Mr. Narayan Murthy, etc., were role models, came from simple, humble backgrounds, or, people like a lot of people who set up large manufacturing entities. Today, the younger generation as icons, many of these startup founders have become very, very aspirational for younger people, right? So from that standpoint, I think the startups are here to stay. Close to $40 billion of capital came in last year, and this year already in the first 4 months, close to $15 billion has come in. So I think employment creation, entrepreneurship, and value addition, economic value addition will continue to grow.
Absolutely. Thank you, MSR. I think you're right. It is as the Prime Minister also says, the startups will change the way country goes forward, and a significant amount of this is actually is coming from the younger generation. So what we're going to look at is also the kind of what are those. There's a lot of students on this audience, right? And we want to hear from the experienced panelists in terms of what are those 3 or 4 things that students needs to kind of look at, and what would before they're venturing into entrepreneurship, or how this whole journey of entrepreneurship should be looked at. And let me start with Ms. Glory Swarupa. If she, from the manufacturing side, it's not a maybe tech startups or technology based startups are still becoming much more cooler to get into. But when it comes to manufacturing startups for students, ma'am, what would be your piece of suggestions and encouragement for the students to look at manufacturing in the startup space?
Today in India, for the students to start something in technology-oriented manufacturing micro-enterprise activity, the platform is already set. We have, the proven technology, standardized technology, A to Z in our country, starting from your automobile, aerospace to every sector. So the technology is standardized. We have the premier institutions in our country. Technology is very much available. And similarly, we have good number of this technology institutions like NITs, IITs, other engineering, science and technology, plus management institutions, good number. And we also have good financial institutions. I think all public sector and private sector put together 1 lakh plus branches we have, precisely 1,16,000 or so. Regarding this technology startups, we have an innovative scheme from Ministry of MSME. So that was launched very recently. Under that, 15 lakhs assistance is given, financial assistance is given for a startup if the technology is an innovative one. So apart from manufacturing, for the design and also for the IP protection. So it is a comprehensive package so that is being offered from ministry. And as the statutory institutions, MSME and NSIC, KVIC, other institutions, so we have established startup incubation centers. So we have livelihood business incubations in the country, and we have good number of Atal incubations, and we have sector specific incubations, we have technology incubations, but we have started startup incubation centers. Under that, we are conducting a series of programs. So I request the students in this platform, otherwise all the panelists, to make a note and to visit our website or to pass on this information to the needy beneficiaries or stakeholders. So we are conducting series of programs on innovation and startup ecosystem. So because it is online and we are reaching entire country, we are going by universities and we are also going by institutions. And group wise, we are conducting this innovation and startup awareness programs actually. On sector specific, again, on sector specific mode we are doing.
Great, thank you so much, ma'am. I think two important elements that you mentioned is very critical. I think the whole design clinic, right? I think the exposure to entrepreneur in design area and in terms of the kind of expo and the opportunity to go and attend various seminars is something which is really and followed and backed up by the support that is being given is also very, very impressive. I think definitely the students should check out the portal and get more information. And if I can also bring in Miss Ramadevi Garu here, and you know, ma'am, you would have seen some of the challenges, but definitely, I mean, definitely, you know, if you can give us some success stories that would inspire the students who are on the panel. I'm definitely it's you know, can you share some success stories or share some inspirational areas where students who can now look at saying, hey, this is something that I should also explore, entrepreneurship, I mean.
I think today there is a collaboration like industry and academia. We have all the colleges and universities collaborating with RLE because we are Atul Incubation Mission, and we also handle a lot of startup fund and from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. I'm just giving an example. For a pilot, they give around 5 lakhs per a student. So that kind of fund is also available. And Ministry of, MSME is also given us innovation incubation. There is money available for, in this context, there is an ecosystem, but students need to feel that, you know, they have to dream big and also have a confidence in their own self, the perseverance, which are the prerequisites of becoming an entrepreneur. You know, it's not an easy job. So they need to be prepared for it. And we have a lot of mentor where, you know, a lot of experienced entrepreneurs guided them. So I have a few success stories like yesterday with, one of our startup, she's sharing her experience with Amitabh Kant, and her name is Santoshi. She's from IIT background, and she's done a manufacturing of trenches. First time in the country, she has come forward. She has taken a very bold step, being a woman entrepreneur, and that is the spirit of entrepreneurship. You know, take the challenge and plunge, and you see, but your landing should be safe. That's what I wish them. See, whatever happens, you know, you should not feel bad about it, because in our country, what I really feel bad is once you become something, you know, NPA or something, you cannot again rebuild your business. This kind of ecosystem is not there. So you have to think, you have to start your business very carefully. And many of them, the dissemination of information is not happening. What I feel bad about is a lot of people miss on the incentives and in the programs of Government of India and state government, because they don't have the knowledge transfer. So we are collaborating with all the institutions as far as possible, even with the technical institutions like CPET, like CFTRI and biotechnology, BIRAC and all that, so that we pass the information to our aspirant entrepreneurs so that their journey is smooth, and they build up sustainable businesses. May not be unicorns, but at least sustainable businesses. This is a big word called sustainable. I just don't want to waste our national money on just starting something and losing. We see that, you know, there are a number of examples. We also provide a handholding of giving them acceleration program where we even support them with infrastructure. Land is one scarce commodity. Even that we are prepared to give for the manufacturing startups. So this is an advantage with our LEAP we have. So we are moving forward. We have more than 70 sustainable businesses. I won't call it unicorns at least. And one more thing I say is it need not be very innovative also. It has to be to build up the gap in the system. There are everywhere gaps in Luckily for our startups, there is so much they can do. So these are all their ideas which can be hand-holded and supported, mentoring, all this can happen, provided they start in getting incubated. And we incubators would like to network and help them. This is my work.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. I think it's very important. I think I like the point of you wishing them landing safe. I think our job is to provide the cushion and be that give them that soft landing, even in just in case they had to come down. But I think it is and the point on sustainable business. I think always build a business where there is a customer willing to pay for it. I think many challenge startups, to my mind, this is my humble submission, fail because they think whatever they believe is what the customer wants, and the market is not really ready for that or something like that. So again, if I can take this to MSR, MSR, you have been an entrepreneur and you have also now have a very responsibility of on the incubating the entrepreneurs. From your side, what does this student community really need to keep in mind when they're looking at entrepreneurship? I don't want to call it like taking the plunge. I think it's not really a plunge anymore. I think they should definitely give it a thought about being an entrepreneur. What exactly they should keep in mind before getting into entrepreneurship?
Sure. So thanks, PS. I think that's a question which we can talk for the whole rest of the evening if you want. But in the interest of
interest of time, probably keep it briefly.
Short, right? I think broadly it's this. I think you touched upon one thing, which is before you plunge in, first of all, flesh out your idea. Figure out whether the idea is something which you are doing which is different, sustainable, is it unique, does it add to, is it efficient, and is there a large enough market, how many competitors are there, etc. Right? That's one part. But I think broadly, I think a few things which I think are important, right? And I think given the pace of technology change in all sectors, not just IT, but manufacturing, etc. Clearly, I think 3 or 4 things which I think are a must for every young person. So one is, I think, about being adaptable. That's the first. Second is you need to be entrepreneurial. Not everyone will turn out to be an entrepreneur, but I think it's important to recognize that in the pace of change is accelerating dramatically across all industries, right? So, for example, with what's happening on digital transformation, many of the skills of the past will become redundant. So, for example, just knowing a programming language, 30 years ago was enough, but now you have to learn every 5 years. You'll have to learn something new. So, adaptability, being entrepreneurial, constantly learning new skills, right? And if I can, I think it is about being agile and learning all the time, right? Having an entrepreneurial mindset, right? And also focus on, we talk about critical thinking, collaboration, communication, etc. So I think the 4 C's are going to be super important for young people. So when you talk about learning agility, I think I can break that up into, again, into multiple parts. It can be about mental agility, it can be about people agility, change agility, results agility, and being self-aware, right? So I think, as I was telling somebody the other day, it is not easy now for a young person to be young. Okay, unlike times past, things are changing. So, and if you go back to what Charles Darwin said, it's more relevant now than any time before. The species that will survive is the one which is most adaptive to change. To wear your seat belts, tighten up for a good, interesting ride in the future.
Thank you, Mr. I think I'm part of your team. I think I know what is coming that way. So Great. I think one of the important things that we spoke about is also what the entrepreneurial mindset should be. But as incubators, as facilitators in this ecosystem, what are the things that we need to keep in mind? I mean, be it an organization like National Institute of MSME, and how are we kind of preparing ourselves for the future and for what the future entrepreneur needs. So on that note, if I can maybe request Ms. Swarupa to give some insights into how the organization is preparing for the future, ma'am, especially in the manufacturing sector.
Yeah, though we have good number of schemes for the startups or otherwise in general for any entrepreneur. But that assistance, definitely it is not reaching the entrepreneur because all the schemes, it is the funding is implemented through financial institutions. So finance is one very big hitch for any entrepreneur to get it, preparation of their DPR. Actually, to begin with, for any entrepreneur, they don't know where to start, whom to approach, when to start, and how to make the things to come together. So this is lacking. So we are creating a lot of awareness, and for the funding through our own ministry schemes to be made available to all the entrepreneurs. On 29th, we had one national level workshop wherein we have called all the bankers to make them aware of the schemes, the latest schemes of our own ministry, that is innovative scheme, this design clinic and Z scheme. So most of the bankers are not aware of these schemes. 26 banks represented during this workshop, and literally they are not aware of the schemes. And if they are aware also, they are not so confident that the entrepreneur, after getting the funding, so regularly they repay it with the interest while carrying out their manufacturing. So that is the apprehension. So we made a request to the bankers. We made a call because now, since I think 4-5 years, we are going by the world captions to reach the global standards and also to the national targets. Like we started with one district, one product, ODOP. So we did that in the state of Uttar Pradesh for government of Uttar Pradesh. And likewise, we started adopting these concepts from China. And very recently, I think you all might have seen from news that one product, one station, like they started with Tirupati, with the Tirupati, that laddu, like that they want to popularize few products with a few places. So in the similar lines, we have made an appeal, a request to the bankers that one branch, one bank. Can we promote one entrepreneur from one branch? 26 banks were with us, 1 lakh plus branches we have. So if one branch make an effort, a positive note to accommodate one entrepreneur, helping them, with open-minded under the scheme, with the provisions, without, bothering them, though there is no collateral, but asking them the collateral or the security, these kind of things. And, helping them because they have SME branches and many training institutions and good number of officers with all these, knowledge and information wherein they can help the entrepreneur, the startup. So that is the call we have given to the bankers on 29th of April.
Absolutely. I think that's really wonderful. I think what we need to look at is, apart from the fact that, the schemes, it's also about how we spread awareness and make it more accessible for people. I think that's a very important piece in the puzzle. If I can bring in Ms. Ramadevi Garu here and check with her, in terms of the way we look at entrepreneurs, over the last 5-7 years, I'm sure has changed. But as incubators or as service, as enablers of this ecosystem, what are the changes that we could do to make ease of being an entrepreneur even more enjoyable journey, ma'am?
Yeah. What I think is, as an incubation, as a Atal Incubation Mission and LINQ Hub, as a CEO of incubation, I upgraded with knowledge because I need to prepare my incubation to do the services which are required for my startups. So what we did is, we predicted future. Where is future? So We identified areas like biotechnology in defense sector. We entered into collaboration with Codicia in defense, where they are doing a defense incubation. So LEP have collaborated with Codicia so that our startups can enter into defense sector or drone, people who are making drones, they could supply to defense sector. So we changed our perception. We will not only make handicrafts, but we make even the technology-oriented businesses in with collaborations. And we found that access to finance is very difficult through our banks. So we entered a memorandum of understanding with private banks like HDFC. They promised us 1,000 entrepreneur startups who will be given credit, and 1 lakh customers are given access to our products. So these are the agreements which we made so that we could penetrate. And we found that we want to become global. We need the market access of global players and global international, what is happening. So we started VITTC in collaboration. VITTC is Women Entrepreneurs, International Trade and Technology, where entrepreneurs can move forward and become suppliers to the global market. Here we are supported by Ministry of MSME. We got a trade center. We are laying a foundation very soon in Telangana, in Nandigama Industrial Park, with the support of Ministry MSME. They have sanctioned their Women Trade Center. Why all this predicting future? Unless you do this in a different way, our startups will not take advantage. So this is what, as an incubator, I need to change. I need to learn what is really happening, and I need to grasp the opportunity. That's what we did.
Amazing, ma'am. I think that is really very important for the enablers of change to change themselves and continuously go with the new next thing, right? Because from handicraft to drone technology, I think that is a significant shift, and we would look forward for more women entrepreneurs in the defense and aerospace, because I at T-Hub also represent IDEX, which is a very important element in the defense innovation space. So Masai, if I can bring you in and probably request you to add your thoughts on as a incubator, as an accelerator, what are those 3 or 4 things that we all need to look at to make the entrepreneur lives really far more successful? I wouldn't say easy. Entrepreneurship is not easy, but how can we make it more successful?
So PS, I think very simply put, I think some points have already been covered, but broadly I put it this way. I think first is before someone plunges into entrepreneurship, I think be it manufacturing or be it services or be it product or platform or whatever, I think first flesh out the idea well, right? I think that's the first part. The second thing I tell people is it's very hard to try and do everything yourself, right? So I always insist that whenever one is trying to put together a business, first put a team together to build it. It's very hard for the entrepreneur to be it almost becomes like Atlas, right? You're carrying the whole burden of the world on your shoulders. So first is idea, second is team, right? That is something which the entrepreneur has to figure out himself, flesh it out, and then put a team together. What are the things which the ecosystem can do? First is, I think, a lot of efforts being done by a lot of different people, but I don't think we work together in a cohesive, concerted fashion. So how can we get the ecosystem to work together in a more streamlined, non-overlapping, non-ego based way of doing things? So that's one part. The third thing is, I think, in terms of things like, for example, I refer to this 1DC initiative, right, which I do think can be a game changer. Will allow small businesses to have a digital presence, and we've seen also during COVID that businesses which were online, for example, had a significant advantage in terms of being able to access markets and customers. So take advantage of digital technologies, right, so that you're not restricted to a narrow geographic market. Geography can be history in that sense. So, basically, what can we do together to access to markets, access to capital, which I think, there are, as I think we talked about this information asymmetry during this conversation, right? That there are schemes which are available, which are not, either understood by the potential recipients of those schemes or by the potential giver of those schemes, right? I think what Swarupa ma'am spoke about, banks not being aware of, the schemes available, and typically entrepreneurs not being aware of available, right? And there are other forms of funding, revenue-based funding, non-collateral based, receivable-based financing, etc., which are starting to pick up. It's a thing which, time has come. It will start to happen. Then, of course, what can we do together from talent is going to be a challenge in many businesses. While we turn out the largest number of graduates every year, we still find a significant gap between what industry requires and what academia is turning out. So how do we bridge that gap? There's an opportunity again for the ecosystem to kind of work together on that front. And then, of course, last but not least, I think it has to be the, kind of, I think for those who are a little more privileged, successful entrepreneurs, be it of any kind, right, manufacturing, IT, or whatever, I think they have to give back. They should support younger entrepreneurs through, mentoring, taking them under their wing, right, and sharing, learning, sharing stories not of success, right, but also of failure, so that people can learn, right? So I think these are the 4-5 things which need to be done, but fundamentally, I think ecosystem has to pull together. So which means, bring, all, for example, all funding institutions, all large corporates, right, media, right, then obviously academia together, and work together as one, as opposed to pulling in different directions, and sometimes working at cross purposes and so on.
Thank you, MSR. I think it was a wonderful discussion. But my last question, before I take questions from the audience, or rather, I relay back questions from multiple Paneerselvam, Madan Gopal that have come from, right? So, what I'll do is, those are not all my questions, by the way. Right. So, MSR, I'll change the order this time around, and I want to kind of start with you. Briefly, if you could, for the benefit of the audience, if you could share what exactly THUB offers in terms of the, as a specific support system. Few highlights. I'm sure there are plenty, but if you could highlight a few for the audience, what THUB offers.
Sure. So I think broadly at THUB, we are an end-to-end incubation and acceleration ecosystem. What we are trying to do for our founders is basically, if you have an idea, right, we'll help you flesh out the idea, figure out what needs to be, first of all, is the idea something which can be scaled to build a business, be it a product, platform, or service type of thing. So we have programs where we'll work with you to essentially help you convert your idea into, is it, first of all, kind of a go, no go kind of thing, which is, can you actually build a business around this type
it's
of
like
thing?
A validation, right?
Validation, idea validation, etc. The second part is, once you built a business and you built certain amount of traction in the business in terms of what we call, you built a, let's say, you have a few customers, you have built what we refer to as an MVP, minimum viable product, help you to basically be able to get a few things in place in terms of identifying the right, product market fit, the right go-to-market strategy. Are you operating in a severely crowded space where, for example, the cost can be the only, differentiator? Because it's very hard to build a business which is purely, completely dominant on cost being the only differentiator, right? It has to be cost, quality, and maybe some unique features you add to the product, service, or platform. So that's the second part of the programs we do, which is, once you've reached a certain minimum threshold of revenue, how do we help you get to the next level, right? And then, of course, we have a bunch of programs to help you get access to funding. We do help startup entrepreneurs with access to markets. We do what we call corporate startup matchmaking, where startups can potentially either sell to or sell through corporates to their audiences. We also help startups which are looking to go international. We run a bunch of programs with other countries where, if, for example, if a startup has reached a certain threshold of revenue and size, it is now looking at going to going out to figure out export markets, right? That's something we can help you with, and so on. So broadly, to summarize very simply, and PS, you've heard this before, but for the rest of the audience, help startups with idea validation, and then help them with access to money, markets, mentors, manpower or talent. And I think Rama ma'am referred to motivation and mindset. That's another thing which we help with, because entrepreneurship is a tough journey, not for the faint-hearted. And whatever we can do to help the founders stay strong during the crests and troughs in their business is something which we try and do.
Thank you, MSR. I think that was helpful for the. I'm sure it would be helpful for the audience. Rama ma'am, if I can bring you in and help understand the audience what ELEAP really offers and what really makes ELEAP what it is. I'll be very helpful, ma'am.
Actually, we have, as any other incubation, we have all the services provided, but we usually do pre-incubation. Pre-incubation is where, anybody can get into it and learn about whatever. This is mostly a dissemination of information, what we can say. So they understand what is entrepreneurship. After pre-incubation, we ask them to pitch and we select our startups in the incubation. After incubation, we have an acceleration program where we handhold, give them the required support, which is to scale up their business. So in incubation, actually, we are different from other incubators because we have been existing incubator. We are not a new incubator. So Atul Incubation Mission supported us with manufacturing facilities. One or two innovations, what we have is biodegradable plastic. They are making the machinery is available. And we also have a lyophilization in food processing. The shelf life of food they make from that machinery, the shelf life is 30 years. It's an innovation. So these kind of digital printing, all these kind of machinery is available in our incubator. And under acceleration, we take up, and once they have proven they have access to market, access to finance, we give them infrastructure. We have our own industrial parks in 83 acres, one and 30 acres, one and some other. So we enable them to scale up. So this is, and we are also coming up with our own e-commerce platform. And we are getting associated with the GEM and PSUs to make them, that because we being a women entrepreneur association, we get a lot of pitching happening. So the whole ecosystem helps us in making our entrepreneurs, access to markets and all that. So we take advantage of all Government of India schemes and all ministries. SISF supports us, and METI supports us, Ministry of MSME supports us, and also AIM, Atul Incubation Mission Seed Fund, there is a support. So it is only startups and entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs take advantage of ELEAP Hub. We have funds. There is no issue. Only they have to come forward with an innovative idea and a scalable business. We are there to support.
Great. That is really interesting to see an e-commerce platform coming out of ELEAP. I think that would be a game changer, ma'am. I think creating a not only market access but also a distribution platform for the entrepreneurs could be really very important. And I'm sure Ms. Swarupa is also pleased to hear that incubators are taking full support of the schemes and the support from the MSME ministry Ma'am, if I can kind of request for your closing remarks on what MSME, especially could offer to entrepreneurs, and then we will open up for questions.
At the end, I can say that, we are the host institution under innovative scheme, a National Institute for MSME, and students are the institutions. They can share their ideas with us. This scheme was launched last month only, and we have received a first batch of 9 ideas. Out of that, screening was done. There is a committee actually, and 2 ideas were finalized, and that is being forwarded to the ministry for further, for financial assistance. And 7 ideas could not be forwarded because there were some gaps. So we called these startups actually with these ideas. Ideas were very good. But it cannot be, recommended for financial assistance. But we have, mentored them, like how they can improve these ideas further so that they will get the assistance. So we are the host institutions, and across the nation, any individual or organization, they can approach us. And likewise, we are the nodal agency for Ministry of MSME, Government of India's several schemes. One important scheme is this Spurti. So under that, also rural innovations are encouraged from artisans, their families are their next generation youngsters with handlooms, handicrafts, and agro and rural enterprise-based activity. So they can approach us. And actually, our mandate is to build the capacity of the managers, in the sense like officers, with their induction, with their refresher courses, and their senior management level courses. That's what we have been doing. We don't directly deal with entrepreneurs, but now we are open through this Startup Incubation Center and Livelihood Business Incubation Center. So we are also rendering those services, and we are building the capacity of the faculty members across the institutions. For example, this Telangana state, we have Commissionerate of College Education. So across the colleges, we are doing this capacity building to start entrepreneurship development cells. Likewise, Osmania, they have good number of colleges, degree colleges, not science and technology and management, degree colleges, like which offer graduation courses. So that we are doing, empowering the faculty. So what is entrepreneurship? What is this incubation? What is startup? And how do we create the employment? And how do we convert the job seekers into job providers, job generators, or job creators? That is the message we are doing. And we are in the services of nation for the growth and promotion of MSMEs. So anybody can approach us. If we are in Hyderabad, you can visit us, or through social media or through email platform. You can always reach us for any assistance related to entrepreneurship development, skill development, research, consultancy, short-term education programs, anything, we are open.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that is very, very promising. I think on that note, it's a wonderful, inspiring words from all the panelists for the audience, especially the student community present on this platform for this event today. I have a time for maybe a couple of questions. I will bring in Swarupa ma'am for you. First question, is there any specific program relating to digitization in the MSME segment?
Yeah, we do have from our ministry to convert entire their process operations into digital mode under automation, or for their exports. If it is a service activity or trading activity, to their exports, we do have that scheme. So they can approach us and we will guide them. So who is the contact person in ministry and which is the relevant department, so we can guide them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. MSR, if I can bring you in for the question. The question from, another Paneer Selvam Madan Gopal, in this case, is, why is T-Hub largely focused towards Hyderabad and Hyderabad-based startups, and what about other cities and other, geographies is something somebody would like to check on?
So 2 parts, obviously, physical infrastructure for T-Hub is right now located in Hyderabad, in Gachibowli. But having said that, particularly the last 2 years during COVID, the fact, this whole thing about a physical office, no longer had let's say the attraction of the past. So many of our programs, we have startups from the length and breadth of India. We also have startups from overseas, which are part of many of our programs. So many of our programs had to, by default, become entirely digital in nature during COVID. But as we move forward, we'll probably look at programs, some of our programs being hybrid, with some amount of in person, and the rest of it all being done virtually. That's one. Specifically in the context of Telangana, during this year, as you know, the government of Telangana also has set up IT towers in 5 districts. Karimnagar, Karimnagar, Nizamabad, and so on. So T-Hub will now be working on setting up a hub and spoke model, leveraging the infrastructure set up in these in these districts. And over a period of time, I think we hope to be present in all the 33 districts in Telangana, leveraging the IT towers which are being set up by the government of Telangana. Right. So a long answer to a short question, but I hope it helps.
No problem. I think thank you. That's important to kind of today in the virtual world, we could probably take support from any part of the country to whichever need that we have. My last question to Ramadevi Garu, if one of the audience wants to know, is ELIP only for women, and especially or manufacturing, or isn't really? You spoke about drones, so drones. So I'm sure that now that clarifies that it is for all kind of categories. But is ELIP only for women entrepreneurs, or anything that you can mention? I could have.
We are focusing on women entrepreneurs, but as far as startups are concerned, there is a reservation like for men. We give 30% seats for men. So you have to opt for reservation. So that's how we work for startups. We encourage them to get into our incubation, but mostly it is for women entrepreneurs. 70% is women and 30% in this ratio, because we need to be inclusive. So we are focusing on a sector which is very ignored till today. So women entrepreneurship is our focus.
Great. On that wonderful note that men have 30% reservation, and I think I'm really glad that we have had a wonderful discussion, and I take this opportunity to thank the Hyderabad Management Association. I think I should definitely be part of it very soon, and of course the eminent panelists. Ms. Garu, Ms. Ramadevi Garu, and Arun. Thank you for being an amazing panelist. And now I hand it over back to Professor Ravi Kumar Jain for his closing remarks and taking it from there. Professor, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, PS. You promised and you delivered more than what we thought. A super exciting session, very information, loaded with information, and more than that, a great insight into what's happening. India is certainly on acceleration mode, and we see 3 great enablers, from MSME, working in the hinterlands, and then enabler working in the area of empowering women, giving them more strength and wings, and then another enabler taking people to the global platform. So I think this session has clearly mentioned or clearly indicated that the system has money, the machinery is at work, there is enough motivation. What is needed is you come with ideas, you come with a fire in the belly, creativity in your mind, and compassion in the heart. The entire machinery is there for you to ensure that you succeed in whatever you aspire to achieve. I think this is the beginning of a nice, I would say, initiative that Hyderabad Management Association is trying to promote the culture of entrepreneurship, the spirit of entrepreneurship. We are working on 3 E's, where we say experiential learning by providing bridge between the corporate, the theory and the practice. By experimental approach, please keep doing new things and try and experiment with new approaches to learning, new approaches to delivering things, new approaches to touch the society in whatever way possible HMA can. And the third is promote the entrepreneurial spirit. And today's panel is very well fitting into the third element of promoting entrepreneurial spirit. Thank you once again, PS, for such a great job. Thank you, today's eminent panelists, MSR Garu, Ramadevi Garu, and Glory Swarupa Garu. Thanks for being with us and sparing your valuable evening with all of us for HMA. And as usual, my thanks to the leadership team of Hyderabad Management Association, which I fondly call Hamara Management Association. Our President Kavita Rajesh, providing the women power there. And I see the Lakshmi, the Durga, and the Saraswati on the panel today. So that empowers, that gives us more strength. And our Vice President Ramchandra Garu, always supporting in all our initiatives. And Rajendra Krishna Prasad Garu for championing this vertical, where he has been coming up with a lot of good sessions and knowledge-oriented, work in promoting MSMEs and entrepreneurship. Thank you all the audience who have spared you or being part of with us this evening and making this event a great success. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Namaskar to all.
Thank you, Ravi Garu, for
Thank you. Thank you
well
very much.
articulated vote of thanks. And I thank the ladies who are well accomplished in their streams, and MSR Garu and as PS Garu for sure. Without him, it was not complete without the moderation. Amazing, sir. Thank you so much for accepting our invite. A very good guy.
Special mention to Geeta Mallikarjun and Karthik
Yes.
for all the back office work,
Yes.
which is not
Thank you.
visible often, but that's the power behind the success of all this. Thank you once again.
Thank
Thank you
you. A
so
great
much.
evening to one and all.
Namaste and namaste to all of you.